So I've just been Googling around here a bit trying to find an alternative to buying a giant piece of blue acrylic because that's not happening. And so let's check this out. I've been looking at these, like a vinyl that I could put on the back glass. I just typed in frosted blue vinyl. This stuff that's exactly what I want. That would accomplish the same thing. How much is it though? $17.77 per running foot. Per foot? Absolutely not. I'm not spending that much money on vinyl. Let's check out eBay. Maybe eBay's got something cheaper. So I just came across this stuff on eBay. It's very similar. Where is it though? Is it in China? It's not in China, is it? No, it's in California. Okay, they got different sizes and stuff like that. I guess, yeah. I mean, I could probably get away with 24 by 48 because I have those overflows. How much is that? 12 bucks? That's not that bad. Let's give that a whirl. So I got the light blue frosted vinyl installed on the back glass, and I don't like it. I don't like the quality of it. I don't like the way it went on. It left a lot of air bubbles despite using a hair dryer. I've installed a lot of window tint and stuff, and this stuff is just not very good quality. At first I thought it might be okay, but the problem is it's just a little too hazy. Like for instance, if I come around, I got this light turned on just as a sample right now. You can see that this little radiator fluid container is about halfway back in the shadow box, and I can barely make out what it is. And that's just a tad too hazy. Because I want to be able to see what shapes I have inside of the box. So if I move this right up against the glass, then it becomes a little bit more visible, as you can see, but it has to be right up on the glass to be able to make out what it is, and that's just more hazy, and it's just more etched looking than I wanted it to be. I just want it to look slightly blurry. I don't want it to be that noticeable. So this is fail number one. It's kind of what happens when you're doing trial and error. Obviously this design calls for a big piece of acrylic, blue acrylic that you scuff up. But that's really expensive on a 6-foot tank. Even if I do it in panels, it's way too expensive. So this was what my game plan was, and now luckily this was only like $9-10 bucks, this piece of vinyl, so that's what I lost on it. That's kind of what happens when you're experimenting. But now I found this Oracle pastel blue, just transparent vinyl, and it's a little thicker. It's designed to go on glass, and my game plan with that is, so I had to pay a little extra for that as a better quality vinyl. But this is, again, I'm experimenting here because there's no way I'm spending like $100 on a piece of acrylic just for this project. So my game plan is to get this transparent blue vinyl, and it's like I said, a pastel blue color. I'm hoping it's not too dark, but it will add a little bit of haze and a little bit of blueness to whatever it's in front of. And then what I want to do is get it installed on the back of the tank, and then my plan is to scuff it up with a scuff pad once it's installed. It is a thicker vinyl, so I should be able to scuff it up, to taste. So stay tuned. That'll be the next job. This stuff is not hard to remove. I'll just have to pull this off the tank, and we'll start over when I get the new vinyl in. So my third time was the charm vinyl showed up. I finally got that installed yesterday. I showed you I had the frosted blue vinyl that just didn't work. You couldn't even see through it. And then I ordered a roll of Oracle. It was translucent pastel blue vinyl. I was thinking it would be transparent, and so I messed up there. And when I got it, when it showed up, I unrolled it for about 5 seconds and was like, yeah, this isn't going to work because it's almost solid color. So I sent that back. No harm done there. Seller refunded me. And then what I ended up settling on was this Vivid. So Vivid makes window films for residential and auto. So this is like a blue vinyl that you would put on your headlights or taillights on your car. Pretty thick, good quality stuff. The seller was out of Champlain, New York on eBay, but I believe they sell this on Amazon as well. But I think I paid $17 or $18 for a 5-foot long by 3-foot wide roll, which was just enough to do both back sections on either side of the overflow, and then the main back section there as well with a little bit to spare. So that ended up being perfect. For me and what I'm trying to accomplish with this, it was the perfect solution, because a piece of acrylic to cover this entire back, even if I did, if I broke it in sections, this middle piece here in this tank is about 33 inches, maybe a little over. So a piece of acrylic, that blue acrylic that you can find online, would be a fortune. So this was my solution to try to do this, again, keeping with the theme of doing this cheaper. And it's just a very subtle, you can kind of tell right there, it's hard to tell in this lighting, but very, very subtle shade of blue, and it is transparent. And the nice part is it's thick enough to go ahead and scuff it up. Now, what I've done is, let me turn this light on. So I have this extra piece that I put on the side, and just to try to test some scuffing methods. This is a gray 3M scuff pad. So I did the top with the gray 3M. This is 1500 wet sandpaper. That came out a little rougher. I wasn't really a fan of that. And then this was an unaffected piece. But now what I've been messing with a little bit is this pad for my orbital buffer. And that's a cut pad for the buffer. And so I was messing with that a little bit because I was thinking the finish or the scuffing on the back would be more uniform if I was using a buffer. But now what I think I might try is to go by hand and use the gray scuff pad and do it by hand, and then hit it with the cut pad for the buffer to smooth everything out, because I really feel like the scuff pad is the perfect amount of blurry. You can kind of see that's my hand is about, I don't know, maybe 2.5, 3 inches away, and then as I get closer you can still make out what it is, but it's just out of focus. So it seems to be the perfect amount, and that's what I'm going for, without being too blurry. You can still see right through it and the light can still penetrate. So that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to get to work scuffing up this back with a gray scuff pad, and then I'll hit it with the buffer, and when that's done I'll come back and show you the result of that. Alright, so what ended up being the perfect amount of blurry for me was so I went and bought a little bit coarser 3M scuff pad. This is the green one, so this is the coarsest of the scuff pads. And just very light-handedly went over the back with the green scuff pad, and that ended up being the perfect amount of blurry for me. And I've experimented with several things, steel wool, wet sanding, and every time it just wasn't quite blurry enough. Now this looks extremely blurry right now to the naked eye without the box behind it and the light on, but I'm going to put that up in a second and show you why I chose to go a little bit more blurry like this, because in the end it's going to produce the best results. So here's what the back looks like. You can see it's very blurry, but I went over it very light-handed and then just sprayed it down with some water and cleaned it with a rag. But this level of blur to me is going to be perfect with the light on. Without the light on it looks too blurry, but with the light on it's just the perfect amount for me. And so let me get the background on and I'll show you. So I got the background back on. Let me switch the light on for you. I'm going to give you a couple different examples. So here's an example of the object there in the box. Almost, it's right up on the glass. So you can see the closer to the glass it is, the more you can make it out, but the further back it goes, the blurrier it gets, and that's what I was after, because what I'm going to end up doing is having different fabricated rock structures at different depths of the box. So some stuff will be completely along the back wall, others will be closer up against the overflows, in the corners, etc. So let me move this object back a little bit so you can see the blurry effect with that set back a couple inches. So here's an example of the container set back almost against the back panel, and you can see how much blurrier it gets. Now the front of it is probably about halfway up in the shadow box. So that's what I'm going for. I chose to go a little blurrier than some might. Your mileage may vary. You might choose to go a little less blurry. But I don't want to be able to make out exactly what the structures are and all the details on them. I just want them to be visible, and then from various angles just provide that depth. So I can manipulate the objects inside of the shadow box at different depths of the box to create a very textured 3D look. So mission accomplished on that. I'm gonna move on to painting. When I went to get the scuff pad today, I got some paint samples. They're very dark. I think that's what I'm gonna end up going with. But I may do some messing around inside of Photoshop and see which one of these or what close to these works best with the lighting that I choose. I may bring it into Photoshop and add a light source to see how this is affected by the light. So that's it for this part. Stay tuned.